have to believe in yourself. Don't let anyone project their fears on you. And if you're going to bet and put your last dollar on anything, it needs to be yourself. Tagline: science, self-love, and style. Growing up, I've always been into fashion and very conscious of the style and the way I dress. But when I was younger, I had a sewing machine. I had a whole sewing shop in my basement of my mom's house. I learned how to sew at an earlier age. Even still to this day, I know my way around a sewing machine. So that's an interesting fact. But the funniest story is at 13, my mom friend who lived up the street from us wanted me to sew her pants. And these weren't just any pants. She wanted me to take in her Versace pants. So I remember at 13 feeling so much pressure to take in these pants perfectly, because I'm like, oh my God, these are like $600 pants. Right, yeah. So it's so funny how everything comes together, like from learning how to cut patterns and different things like that. In life, when I moved forward in the scientific realm and to getting my degree in chemistry, I had to silence parts of me. And when starting EUMELANIN, it had allowed for all those parts of me to come back out and pretty much come together with this brand. So I'm allowing myself to bring so many pieces of who I am to the table when I'm pretty much bringing EUMELANIN to the world. My name is Deirdre Roberson. I'm founder and CEO of EUMELANIN. EUMELANIN is a clothing and jewelry brand designed to celebrate and empower Black and brown people around the world. So I've always worked in STEM. STEM field, that's science, technology, engineering, and math. I'm a chemist. I attended undergraduate school for chemistry as well as my master's. And I was actually working on a STEM company that I have co-founded with 2 other co-founders. And in this pitch competition, we all had to put something on our shirts when we were pitching, and we wanted to be reflective, of our values and how we feel. So I was like, I'm going to put the chemical structure of melanin on my t-shirt. I told my partner, like, hey, on my t-shirt, make sure you put the chemical structure of melanin. So I was hoping that when we won this contest, after we pitched it, that they will ask, like, hey, what's that on your shirt? So we won, and they didn't ask. But the cool thing is, so many other people were like, what is that on your shirt? How can I get that shirt? And so that's what sparked the idea. So at that time when I pitched, the shirt was actually a yellow sweatshirt, and it just had the chemical structure of melanin. How do I put my creative side into this as well as my scientific side? Like, how do I take this brand a step further in creating something that really is a piece of me and how I move through the world? So when I was like, well, I want to make sure this brand is also a social brand, addresses social issues as well. So I wanted to address issues of colorism that we experience in our community, not only Black communities, but brown communities globally. So that's why the clothing line was designed to honor and celebrate different shades of Black and brown people. And that's where I took the idea too. So you can see the spectrum of colors and skin tones that's actually in the brand. So that's kind of where we are today. And I'm actually growing on that idea with some dope things coming up, but that's all I'll share for now. So for undergraduate school, I attended Xavier University of Louisiana in New Orleans. I majored in chemistry there, and for graduate school, I attended the University of Detroit Mercy. So yeah, it wasn't an immediate thing. It's just me being Black and proud and wanting to exude that, and confidence in how I was delivering myself to the world. So when people started asking me about it, I'm like, well, this is something, like maybe this is a good idea. And I immediately, it didn't take me long. I mean, I did it, people asked about it, I was ready. This is probably a 24-hour time frame, okay? So it didn't take me long to think about it. But it took me a little, but I know it had to be more than just on any type of sweatshirt. I know it couldn't just be on any color t-shirt. I know it had to be intention behind what I created. So that's how the color spectrum came about. That's how the honoring of the skin tones, that's how addressing issues of colorism came about. Because I wanted to put all the things that I've experienced in my life into this brand. I wanted to be an extension of me and something I was passionate about and can get behind. Not just another t-shirt brand, but sending a message out to the world, proclaiming who I am and who Black people all around the world are. I feel like that's a very important message. It's so many negative stigmas that are attached to being Black and brown, that are attached to being dark-skinned, and as a Black, dark-skinned woman that I've experienced in this world and how I maneuver the world. So I wanted to address those head on. And I wanted to stand in my confidence in who I am as a Black person, as a chemist, And I'm here, and I'm Black, and I'm proud, and I'm a scientist as well. Being a Black woman, being a chemist, being in science, it has always been a hard space to maneuver. And I think Black scientists, doctors, nurses, engineers, we can all, attest to this. And to be able to be your whole self in those environments is kind of what I wanted this shirt to signify for all of us. And like, not just in those careers too, but careers across the board. And like when we show up in spaces that we're pretty much not represented. So I wanted us to be our whole selves and be able to represent ourselves. So maneuvering to those careers after my college years was actually pretty hard for me. I was like, I'll be in the lab, they don't get my jokes, they don't watch the same movies as me. Like, how can I show up wholly as myself? And like, where does this confidence come that I need? Like, how do I find this confidence? And during the years, trying to find that confidence. So when this brand sparked in my idea, it was a way of me to give a piece of what I found to the rest of the world.
Was it like a love for chemistry that you had growing up, or were you just exceptionally better at it than other people? Where did that come from?
So that's such a good question. So it was definitely a love for chemistry. Like me as a little Black girl from Southwest Detroit, I couldn't even make this story myself or wrote it better. Like going to Cass Tech, I always was like, I want to be a doctor, something along that in the science field, but didn't really grasp how much science it takes to be those things. But I remember my sophomore year, I'm in chemistry honors, and I had the dopest chemistry teacher. And he changed the way I saw chemistry and how easily I caught on. And I like the fact that problems can be solved. You don't need all the answers, you just need the pieces, and you can like solve those problems. But I fell in love with chemistry immediately. And so from that point on, I couldn't be stopped when it came to chemistry. Organic chemistry I took in high school. So when I got to college, like I had already had organic chemistry in my back pocket. Like my sophomore year, the whole first semester, I didn't even have to really dive that hard into organic chemistry, which is actually known as a Weeder class. But from being introduced to it at that level at Cass, at high school, not knowing what part of science, what part of medicine, what I really wanted to go into, or not understanding the level of science, the depth of knowledge you needed to know to take on a career of such. But having that teacher, a teacher can change a child's life. The teacher name was Mr. Boboski out of Cass Tech. So shout out to you. Mr. Bobo, I think we called him. I definitely say the entrepreneur spirit was always in me. So one idea I had first was actually create a blog to celebrate all the things happening in the city of Detroit and to keep it updated. I started that. I actually had that going for about a year. I was updating people on all the cool events in the city. I didn't understand how to monetize it. I wanted people to know that there were cool things going on in the city, especially for people of color, for Black people, especially for Black people. And so I actually took a lot of different classes in the entrepreneur ecosystem here. So I've been to Build Institute. I've did a retail boot camp. So I've worked my way around the pretty much entrepreneurship, the business ecosystem here in the last 5 years. So these things are not new to me. When it came to create EUMELANIN, I was well seasoned and ready to go. Like from building my website to knowing EINs to setting up financial accounts, like I was ready to go. Like to taking this idea, I was able to run with this idea. I was able to snatch up the website and the domain, which shows how much they're not checking for us. Because I own EUMELANIN.com, I own EUMELANIN.org. I knew exactly what to do to get my company off and protect my company and protect my creative idea.
So we know what melanin is for the most part, right? But now, excuse my ignorance, what is EUMELANIN? Is that a real word, or is that a play on word?
Perfect. So to go into more detail, melanin is a group of pigments. EUMELANIN It's not a made-up word. It's the scientific term, and it's for the specific type of melanin that's responsible for the black and brown color in our skin and hair. So black and brown people you see with darker skin tones and darker hair have eumelanin. So that's where the name comes from. And it's EUMELANIN, but it's pronounced eumelanin.
Would you say that your background in chemistry helps you in your retail space in any way right now?
My background in chemistry helped me in the business aspect of how organized I had to be, and how, keeping notebooks and labs and different things like that, keeping count of inventory when you're working in those different spaces. But as far as opening a retail store, while I was studying chemistry at Xavier University in New Orleans, I held down a job the whole time I was at school at Express Retail Store. So I've worked in retail the whole time while I was going to school. Who would have ever thought the dots will connect looking back? But that prepared me for a lot of things that I'm dealing with now, or just understanding how retail runs from top to bottom. So I had that experience. I always worked in retail as well. So it was like things were coming full circle. So yes, going from being just an online brand to having a retail store was a huge undertaking. Okay, I do not want anyone to underestimate what it is to have a retail store, to have a brick and mortar store from top to bottom. And it's still one of the hugest things I think I've ever done. And I say this to say my chemistry degrees, it made that seem easy. So just having faith in like the completeness of where I am right now in life and how the pieces are coming together for the good of just not me, but the brand and with the message that I'm trying to put out in the world, is what I had to do. And so far for the month of July, I was able to increase my revenue by 4 times of what I would usually make in a month. I've seen one of the biggest months to date for my company with having a brick and mortar store here at the mall. I was able to do Essence Festival as well, and the brand was so well received down there. It just gave me the faith to keep going. And like, people are messing with my brand. They're digging what I'm putting out, and they're understanding it, and they're really connecting with it, how it celebrates us as a people. And I think we like to wear our values, and it shows when I first see people walk up to the brand, they're like, oh my goodness, especially when they get it, they just get it, Right. And then it's cool educating everybody else about it, and then they're just like, this is so dope.
Have you ever had anybody who recognized the chemical structure on your shirt, was like, I know what that is?
So nobody has really known what it is, right, by just recognizing the chemical structure, but everybody in science always stops to look at it. Because it's very similar to other structures you might see. It can be something, a simple change of a group on my shirt can make it a different chemical. So they always stop. They're like, what's that? Like they're trying to guess. And I'm like, I know you're not going to get it. So it's fun. Yeah. But when they see melanin down there and they already know about the chemical structure, they immediately know what it is. Okay. But if they're just seeing the chemical structure, I haven't found so many people know it, but they immediately stop. Like, oh my God, this shirt is so cool. What structure is it? So the advice I would like to give to inspiring entrepreneurs is that you have to believe in yourself. Don't let anyone project their fears on you. And if you're going to bet and put your last dollar on anything, it needs to be yourself. Because that's the person that you can count on and you can depend on to show up every day. I will also say, like, it's literally faith, resilience, patience, and discipline that's got me here. And that's the thing that's going to keep carrying you. And I can't emphasize patience enough. Everything is not going to happen in the time you think. You're going to hear a lot of no's. You need to get thick skin on that. But when the yeses come, be prepared. That's one of the most important things I think with this opportunity that I have here to be in the mall. I didn't know if I was going to ever open a brick and mortar store. But I took retail boot camp at TechTown, which prepares you to open a brick and mortar store. But I was like, I don't think I'm going to do it, but I'm going to take the class because it's vital information that I think I need to have. And I think I need to know if I'm going to move forward with my brand, whether I open a brick and mortar store or not. This was September 2018. Not even a year later, I was offered the chance to open my own brick and mortar store. And that's just opportunity meeting preparation. You have to be prepared. Like, this would not have been possible if it wasn't for that class at TechTown. Like, and just looking back, I'm like, oh my God, I'm glad I took a chance on myself. I'm glad I paid the amount that was for class, because that's one of the things that held me back. But then I ended up winning a $5,000 pitch competition at the end of the class. So I lost no money and gained a wealth of knowledge and opportunity. So if you're gonna bet on anybody, bet on yourself. Go all in on your dreams and your beliefs, and just continue to work hard. But also know that it requires so much work. It's not all about glitz and glamour. It is not. It's not about the highlights on social media. It's about really sitting down and doing the work and the hard work every day, doing the things that you don't want to do. It's also about making sacrifices and being disciplined. You can't go to every event. You can't go to every happy hour. When I realized that, my brand grew 1,000-fold. You know, so that's what I would like entrepreneurs to know. It is real work, and it is real time. It's real discipline.